Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Hope you had a great weekend, and we always appreciate you starting another week with us here on the show. Today, we're headed out to sea on the Disney Fantasy and headed to Norway. How about that? With listener Sarah on today's podcast to get ready for some trolls, some mountain goats, and some great times on my favorite ship in the Disney Cruise Line fleet. Now, today's show, it's going to be a little bit choppy, and I apologize for that. Sarah was battling her internet, Starlink, so we got through that. I edited it down as best I could to make it as smooth as possible, but there are a couple of spots where it does get a little bit choppy. So again, I do apologize for that, but wanted to get all this great information and great stories out to you today. So I really do hope you enjoy today's podcast. It's kind of like the North Sea and sailing to Norway, so it's on theme. Don't forget, today's podcast brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney vacation for no additional cost to you. Please check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. You make this show possible. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2775 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. And it's a great weekend around here. I used to hate bye weekends for college football, but you know what? It's the best weekend. Stress-free. Didn't have to stress about my team winning or losing. Just got to sit back and watch everybody else go through it. So I double bye years. Hey, bring them on. This is good stuff because now totally stressed. My two teams are facing off and it's not, I shouldn't say it's not looking good. My Mizzou Tigers still undefeated going into the game against Bama this coming Saturday at the zoo. So, we'll see how this goes. I know we have a lot of friends that are Bama fans in our audience, and I still love you guys. Roll Tide, but not this week. So it's going to be a fun one at the zoo. So look for me as we are there on Saturday morning as the kick goes off. So anyway, we're here to talk some Disney, and today, talking a little Disney Cruise Line. We're going to head over to Europe, to Norway, and talk about my favorite ship in the fleet, which is the Disney Fantasy, and can't wait to talk with listener Sarah about this. Sarah, thanks for joining us. What's going on today?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Just got done with work, taking a little break from the grind and ready to talk some Disney Cruise Line with you.
Well, I like that we got to talk in the pre-show a little college football. So that was awesome. We kicked it off talking a little, you got some Penn State ties. So
yep.
I thanked you profusely for quarterback Bo that we have at on behalf of all of our fans here. Where's your core allegiance? Because I know you have ties to Michigan, you have ties to Penn State. Like, what is your team?
Oh, Penn State all the way.
Penn State.
That's my bachelor's degree is there. So I got to go with them, even though Penn State all the way.
All right. So tough game last weekend, but long season. You'll be in the playoffs.
Long season.
Hey, maybe we'll see each other in the playoffs. Mizzou's a long shot.
Might.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing. All right. So let's talk a little Disney here and a little background. So we're going to jump into Cruise Line. Can't wait to talk about that. I'm going to get a little Disney Cruise Line background, but give us your Disney backstory. Like, when did you become a Disney fan and all that stuff?
I've been a Disney fan pretty much my whole life since I was a kid. My sister and I watched all the movies. We went a couple times. My grandparents lived in Winter Haven, Florida. So we went for day trips a couple times when I was a kid. And then I went for the first time as an adult with my sister, and we had a blast, and we've been going ever since. And that was in 2011 when I was still in college. Um, so now I've been on a more of a Disney cruise uh, kind of
Kick.
vibes,
Yeah.
So I've been this that was I just completed my fourth since 2022. Um, and then I'm actually have another one planned this month now in October. Um, so after that I'll be gold after that.
Nice. Get that sweet
Yeah.
lanyard and,
Yeah.
build it up, build that Castaway Club membership up. Now, let me ask you one thing about the parks and then because we had this question. Scott and I were talking about this the other day, and I'm curious. I've been asking everybody that I know about this. What's one thing that you got to experience in the past that's gone that if you could bring it back, you would? Like from your fandom days? Something that
Yeah.
you could.
I mean, I loved the Great Movie Ride, obviously.
Good call.
And then I really like the Catastrophe Canyon.
Scott always
Um,
talks about that too. He said
yeah,
that too.
yeah. I mean, that reminds me kind of like of Universal in a way
Yep.
of their backlot tour.
Yep.
Disney, but I liked that. I remember that when I was going on that when I was a kid. Um, and then they had that like a Honey I Shrunk the Audience playground,
Yep.
and like we have, the old pictures of my sister and I uh, playing on that like oversized stuff. So yeah, I miss all of that.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether the studios was better back then because it was just so different. Like it was a
Yeah,
totally different park back then,
super different.
'Cause you had
Yeah. Oh
like the
yeah.
back lot, you had the residential street with like the Gold Girls house, you had, during the holidays, Osborne Lights. It's such a, I
Right.
mean, it's like if you think about it, like 2025 studios compared to say 1993, 2000 Disney's or MGM. It's almost like they've totally just made a new park. There's not a whole lot that's the same. I guess Tower and Rock and Roller, even those weren't there the whole time. It's such a different experience.
Yeah, it's really different. I think like those two things are the same, and then the Indiana Jones show was
Yeah,
there.
that's true. That's been hanging on.
Yeah,
It's a miracle that's
and
still there. I can't believe it is.
yeah, and that's about the same. I don't know that they've changed anything in that show.
It's true. And you got Gertie. Gertie's been hanging out this whole
Oh yeah,
time. I
Gertie's
mean, it's a
still there.
dinosaur, so I guess that
Yeah.
makes sense. All right, so
Yeah.
let's jump into the cruise thing. So what got you initially to go on your first cruise? Because you've obviously been bitten by the bug pretty hard here. But tell us about the first time you went on a cruise. Like what made you decide to make that leap?
Well, I had never been on one before. And like one of my friends from work said, "Oh, well, I've gone on several. Let's just go." And that was Carnival, and then it was fine, everything good. Their people try really hard to make you have a good time as well, and they're very nice, and service is good. So the next time we tried Royal Caribbean, and we were on Harmony of the Seas, and that was a Mediterranean cruise. So that was my second cruise ever. Was a Mediterranean cruise. And that was great. Like I don't have any complaints about that. I stopped 3 times in Italy, and that was amazing. And then after that, I actually haven't been on a different ship, other than Disney since I've been on a Disney ship. So like the last four that I've done have been all DCL, um, just because I love the park so much, and then I'm a DVC member, so I'm like, well, let's try cruise line, and I love that too.
Nice. It's cool, but you have those other lines to compare to, so that's pretty interesting. So what was
Yeah,
your first experience with Disney Cruise Line? What was your first like itinerary and ship?
it was a 4-nighter on the Wish. It was a very maritime cruise.
So, I mean, that's kind of
Yeah,
hard to compare to like a Harmony of the Seas, especially like a Med cruise because longer. It's obviously more
yeah,
exotic ports you're seeing. I mean, it's just it is what it is. I mean, but more exciting parts of the world than in the Bahamas.
right.
What was your what did you think of the Wish cruise when you had that first experience with Disney Cruise Line?
Since the Wish was the first Disney ship that I was on, I instantly like loved it. I loved the theming. The layout of it didn't bother me because I didn't know any better. Um, I, I don't know. I really liked the coloring and the aesthetic. The people were great. Um, Stateroom host was amazing. Dining staff were great. I thought the food actually was really good and just the main dining.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and like I don't know, I really liked just the feel of the ship, the look of the ship. And then since I live in Michigan, I I like to get away when it's cold.
Yep,
So warm weather cruises, I'm all over those. Yeah.
it's a good call.
Yeah.
Anybody from the Midwest? Yes, get out
Yeah,
of
oh,
the
yeah.
cold when you can. All right, so let's because we want to talk about this unique itinerary you sailed. So you sailed the Fantasy, which is now in dry dock, by the way, as you're hearing this, live or when it comes out this week. Dry docking over in Europe, but before it was sailing over in Europe, and you got to sail this Norway itinerary, which
Yes.
Scotty G did this on Royal Caribbean a couple summers ago, and he
Yep.
actually is the reason we have in the clubhouse that live the channel there where people post live updates. He started that while he was on his cruise, and I was like, man, it's awesome to post live photos from like your trip, and then we just kept it going. And when he was posting these pictures, I was texting him at the same time. I was like, Scott, those pictures don't look real. I was like, seriously, they look fake. Like, I mean, just like the towns, they look like little like paintings, and
Yeah.
the sky is like too blue, the water is too like greenish blue and turquoise. I'm like, for real, dude, you're punking me. Like this, it's gorgeous where you are. And he's like, no man, for real, I'm here. He's like, I'm not messing with you. He's like, it is really cool. But so you got to see gorgeous places. But let's get back to this. So what made you pick for this cruise that we're going to talk about? Like, how did this come about? Like, why did you pick this cruise, and like who sailed with you and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I was looking in May. I just happen to look every few months at the discounted cruises that Disney has like on sale or on special or whatever you want to say. And then they had a few European itineraries listed, and there was a few, like shorter cruises, like three-nighters. I think they had stops in Spain, and I had been to Spain before and I really liked it. But I was looking to go somewhere I hadn't gone before, and I saw this Norway itinerary was heavily discounted for some reason. And I I kind of jumped on it. I'm like, hey, uh, this seems really interesting. I've never been there before. I would kind of like to go, and the price is right. So my travel buddy from work went with me, and yeah, she was not hard to convince either. Like she
Let's
hadn't
go.
been there either. Yeah, yeah,
That's a good friend.
yeah,
That's somebody that's like, hey, you know what? Let's go. It's good to have a buddy like that. I hear you.
yeah.
So you guys just book this, and okay, so let's jump into it. So you guys fly from Michigan to London. Was
Yep.
there any problems with, because you've obviously done lots of international travel, it sounds like, so you got this down, but any tips for folks doing something like this? Because a lot of folks, this will be the first time doing something like this.
Yeah. I am lucky enough to live near Detroit Metro Airport, so it's a Delta hub, so they fly so many places direct, several times a day even. So I got on, the Delta app and I was looking at between Southampton, which is where the cruise port is, also has an airport, but it was more expensive to fly into there. So I chose to fly into Heathrow, direct from Detroit to London, and same as like the way back. Same thing. It was direct, um, and basically just chose it because it was cheaper than the smaller airport.
Right. And you guys had transfers, and how did the transfers work out for you?
Yeah.
Were they okay?
The transfers were fine. It was a big like Mercedes coach bus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Very comfortable. Um, the ship actually, the Fantasy was like 2 hours late docking in Southampton that morning because it was too windy. So that kind of delayed the shuttles. We're a little bit late coming up to Heathrow from Southampton. But the representative there at the airport, said just, hang around here and it'll get here when it gets here. Um,
Just look for a
so
big,
it,
big ship coming around the corner. There it is.
yeah, yeah. So, it's the shuttle picked us up about half hour or so after it was supposed to, and that, it was perfectly fine. Um, we had to go to a different at Heathrow to pick up more people. Um, and Heathrow is huge. It took like 20 minutes to drive to the other terminal.
Yeah.
So the sheer size of the air. So it took about an hour or so to get down to the port. Our arrival time was like supposed to be 10:30 to 11. We ended up getting there closer to 1, just because of the delay with the boat and then with the shuttles. But we walked right on. It was really easy, very easy to navigate. They had signs that were very clear on where to go. We basically just walked onto the ship once we got there. We went up to Cabanas
Mm-hmm.
for lunch, and then the rooms were actually ready early, which has never happened
Yeah.
in my experience before.
Seriously.
Yeah. And then this was another weird thing where the ship had to sit in the harbor still until 10 p.m. that night, because the water was so like churned up and it was still very windy. So we were just hanging out at the port till 10 o'clock at night, which was also very unusual. I'd never had that happen before either.
Huh.
And that was the first time I'd ever experienced any palo. And I have a picture on the Discord of the wines that they served, and then they did actually serve like 4 bite-sized portions from Palo, that was made right there. Everything was excellent. That was a great experience. Uh, it's kind of akin to one of the wine tastings that they do on the ship, but a little bit more of an elevated experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so that was great. I would highly recommend that. Um, if anybody has any questions about that, like I'm happy to answer them on the Discord. Um, we also, after that, went to the main dining. We started the rotation in Royal Court, um, and our serving team was fantastic. The food was all great. Uh, And I think after that, we went to some sort of entertainment in the Tube, down in the district there. And I remember whatever was going on down there was pretty fantastic. Like I remember it was very enjoyable. I was laughing. It was like a game show type thing going
Yeah.
on.
I
And
love those.
yeah, yeah.
I love the tube.
And by then, I think we were rolling out of the port, and then it was time for bed.
That's so
Um,
weird to be sailing away like at
yeah,
10 o'clock at night.
yeah,
It's-
it was bizarre.
yeah.
Uh, and then, yep, the next 2 days were sea days. Um, Water in the North Sea was a little choppy. Like I think the captain said there was about 12-foot swells at one point, which was, and a little bit worse than the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like I think the worst it gets is like 8 to 10.
Hmm.
So 12 wasn't too bad. I wasn't bothered by any of the motion or anything, and I didn't hear of other people that were affected by it much either. Um, but that was just kind of just something to note. Um, and those 2 days, I didn't do much. I mean, we went to some trivia's and got the hit up the uh, ice cream station there.
Yes.
Yep, everything was great. They still had the pools open, even though it was about 40 degrees the whole time and
Oh my
raining.
gosh. And they're probably
Yeah.
sloshing too with
Oh yeah, yeah.
the
The deck was wet. You kind of had to be careful between the rain and the water out of the pool sloshing around. Um, yeah, so it was just it was different. Like um, the weather wasn't very cooperative the whole time. It was kind of gray and wet the whole time, but cruise line actually, like when we stopped every day, they were actually handing out ponchos for free when you got off the ship.
Huh,
Um, so I'd
that's
I'd
cool.
never seen that before
I
either.
I'd never heard of that, but that's awesome. I mean, they
No,
should, yeah.
yeah, and they had the Disney parks logos on them, so
Oh,
that was like
really?
a free $25 right there. That
It's like I try to eat my way back with cookies. That's you get my
right,
ponchos worth.
yeah,
That's nice.
yeah, exactly. So they were aware of the how the weather was, and um, that was nice. I'd not experienced that before. Um, the first stop was in Olden, Norway, and if you watch Must See Adventures, I did the exact same excursion that Scotty G did, and then
Bell for
yeah,
Scott for his YouTube
yeah,
channel right there.
yeah. And then so that was we rode what they call troll cars up to the bottom of a glacier. Um, and, that was fine. There's parts that are a little steep and it was a little bit slippery since it was raining. But neither of us had any trouble, you know, getting there. I think they say if you have mobility issues, it says right on the like excursion when you're booking it that it's probably not a good idea. I don't think they allowed anyone with wheelchair, um, that had to have a wheelchair. Those were not allowed on this excursion. Um, but I thought it was great. The pictures were spectacular. That water is just as green as it looks in the pictures. That so you could stay up there as you know until the time where the guide said, "Okay, yeah, time to go." So it was about an hour. If you wanted, you could stay up there, hang out, take pictures until it was time to walk back to the troll cars to go back down. And they had a little gift shop there. Um, and I mean, the shopping I would say is not great in all of Norway. I was kind of disappointed because I'm a little bit of a shopper, so I expected to see like some kind of, I don't know, shops with like actual nice stuff in them, but the shopping was very disappointing at these ports. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're not a shopper, it's not going to bother you. Um, they had a lot of like local restaurants and pubs at the other two ports that we stopped at. So um, I'll get to that in a minute. So at the end of the excursion in Olden, we took the bus back to the cruise port, and there's actually a sky lift, one of the tallest sky lifts in the world. You could see the cruise ship from the top of the from the lift. That it was really cool. You could see forever. Unfortunately, it was kind of cloudy, foggy, um, but it's just the luck of the draw, I guess. Um, Still got to take some cool pictures up there. There's a restaurant up at the top that has a bar, and it's basically all glass, the walls. So that was a really neat experience. You can walk down close to the glass and take pictures out of there as well. That was a neat experience. Not something I have to do again, just um, but I'm glad I did it once. I would recommend everybody do it once.
That does sound cool. That
Um,
sounds super cool.
yeah, yeah. So that night back on the ship, it was pirate night. Um, it bizarre. So, they don't do fireworks in Europe. They only do them in the Bahamas or Caribbean. Um, uh, and at the same time, it was actually like the menu in all of the restaurants were Frozen like inspired.
Mm-hmm.
So it was bizarre. I think I had a little bit of a fever that night, and then like this pirate and Frozen, I don't know. It was like kind of
Mashup.
it just felt like a weird fever dream. Yeah, like it's kind of weird. So in the atrium they had the pirate show, and in the dining rooms they had the um, Frozen inspired fare, and I think also that night my roommate had a spa, um, like a Swedish massage, and she said that uh, she would recommend it, and they do a great job. It's super expensive,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the tip is included. So it's just something extra to be aware of when you're going into those experiences.
Agreed. Yeah, I've never. I did one on Royal, which was our honeymoon forever ago, but I've
Mhm.
never done one on a cruise line, a Disney cruise line. I don't think. Let me ask you a couple questions because
Sure.
we're struggling with the internet during
Yes.
this interview, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to maybe summarize because
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah. Yeah.
really hard to edit the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So when you went to on day 5, where was that excursion to? So I'm just gonna try to hit you with some highlights here so we can get it. I'm trying to make sure we get
Yes.
some
Yes.
audio out of
Yes.
this. So where did you stop for day 5 for that excursion?
So that was Alisund, Norway, which was the northernmost point that we stopped.
Okay, so the northernmost.
Yep.
So what was the highlight there when you got off the ship? Like what you said, there were some pubs and restaurants and stuff like that. More at these other
Yes.
2 ports. See, that's something I would really
Yes.
enjoy. Just getting a
Yeah.
little local flair. So you got some of that there.
Yes. So there was like fish and chip stands, um, like pubs that were around there. They're all really close to the port. So you could walk to all of them and not worry about like getting lost or not being able to get back to the ship. Um, we
That's
walked
cool.
around town after we went on our excursion, which was a fjords cruise.
How cool.
So, yeah. So, we got off our ship, got onto a smaller little boat that traveled down very close to the rock formations um, and through the fjords, which that water is very flat, um, very calm, and the the captain was talking the whole time and telling us about different things that like historically like what's gone on here, um some little like geography things about the area, and then they were going slow enough that you could take pictures and videos, stuff like that.
See, I would love that stuff because I love like the history, the geography, some kind of local expert telling me like what has happened. Like I
Yes.
eat that stuff up. Like,
Yeah.
back then here, this is the spot, like you're in this spot now. Like tell me more. Like and
Yeah.
that's why you go to Norway, right? For the fjords. And I mean,
Yes.
was it what you were expecting? I mean, did you really get a kick out of that?
Yeah, that was great. I love hearing locals talk about where they live. It was amazing. The captain knew a lot about, everything, which I feel like they should. So he was very informative. And then we went an hour and a half out and then an hour and a half back. and then so a total of 3 hours. And I would recommend that excursion just because um, you can see a lot and you get up very close to like what you basically want to see is
Yeah.
the fjords. Yep.
And you got the local expert. It's almost like it's like a mini taste of like an Adventures by Disney, where you have that local guide
Yeah.
there taking you to like a mini adventure kind of experience.
Yes.
You got a local flair there, which I like.
Yep.
Okay, so day 6, I can't pronounce. I don't think I'll pronounce it correct. Stavanger. How do you pronounce? Stavanger. See, I'm not.
Yes.
I'm so far from Norwegian. And Scott would dog me if I tried and I screwed it up. But he never stopped talking about this place. I think this was his jam. This was his port. So I see waffles and I see trolls.
Yes.
And I see mountain goats. I mean,
Yes.
what else do you need in a port? I mean, you don't get that in the Bahamas. Oh, come on now. So
Right, you don't. No.
Holy smokes! I mean, it's all you need. That's like the triple threat. It's the triple crown. Tell us about
Yeah.
this.
So I think this was my favorite port. The excursion was very similar to what we did in Allison the day before. It was another fjords cruise. This one actually I think was a little better because of just the area where we were in. We got very close to some pretty large waterfalls. And then some of the goats that we saw were actually like at the bottom of this cliff. I don't understand for the life of me how they got up and down. And they were ear tagged, so they belonged to like a local farmer. But they come down, I guess, regularly to see these boats, and they're not afraid. They just stand there and they
Take it in.
yeah, they're just like, all right, well, anybody have anything to eat?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we stopped at a little cafe that was right on the water, so the boat like pulled right up to it, and everybody got off, and they had coffee and Norwegian waffles,
Oh God,
which
that'd be so cool.
I really enjoyed those. They were like very soft,
Oh,
like breakfast waffles. So that I enjoyed that. Just getting to stop, and then that was about halfway through. We got back on the boat, and then we made a few other like stops on the water to see some different formations. We saw the goats, a couple of waterfalls, and then one waterfall. They said like there's this myth that like the troll king or whatever, he like lives up at the top of it. And it was foggy that day, so we couldn't see like where this like troll looking thing like
makes it more true, makes it more
right,
mysterious. Possibly
right.
it's true. Yes.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yep. So that troll, I'm sure, is there.
Yes, he is.
Just as much as the goats were right there at the bottom.
100%. That's right.
Yeah.
I would be hearing
Yeah.
that music from Frozen, that very first song where it's like chunk,
Yeah.
chunk. Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, basically those animators nailed it. Like, I mean, it looks just like the fjords that I saw. And then those moss covered rocks that are like in the movie that come to life, those are just hanging around like everywhere.
I'd be rubbing them.
Yeah. So I was waiting for those to like roll over and start talking. But it was so like such a charming place overall. Everything was clean, nice, neat lines. Some of the houses had sod on the top with like things growing.
That is so cool, because that's like Norway.
Yeah,
That's
it was
how it is
interesting.
in Epcot.
Yeah.
The sod.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes. So that's actually real. I mean, they did a great job, like both with the Frozen movie, the animations. It looks just like the country. And then like the pavilion in Epcot, it's authentic. Like everything looks like, it should be in Norway.
That is super cool. So
Yeah.
let me ask you something about the ship, about stuff you did
Yeah.
on board the Fantasy. So you've been on the
Yeah.
Wish, you've been on
Mhm.
these other ships. So what were your impressions of the fantasy? For example, what was your favorite show that you saw? Was it Believe? Was it Aladdin? Because a lot of people kind of split between those two, or was it something else?
I mean, I love the stage shows. So the fantasy right now has Aladdin and Frozen and Believe. And then they also had a couple of, different acts from the UK. Um, that there was a magician on the ship that he was amazing. He said he's gonna be on the Dream next summer when it goes back to Europe. His name is Jamie Raven, and he was very entertaining. I went to his show in the Tube, and then in the Walt Disney Theater, and he it was two different shows, and he was very good both nights. Very funny guy, very entertaining. Would highly recommend going to see him.
Yeah, I love when you get to see like somebody at the Walt Disney Theater, like these variety acts, but then when you get to see them in the adult area, because
Yeah,
obviously you're up closer, it's a smaller venue, and they kind of spice up the show just a little bit, and they and also usually they have more like crowd participation in that later night show, and
yeah,
it's always a little bit more fun. I do
yep,
enjoy that. They really kind of bring
yep.
the spice and the heat to that show, which is
Very
I'm with you.
fun.
They're always,
Yeah,
because sometimes like a knife juggler, or who knows what's going to be, but it's always,
yeah,
I can tell you what, those people are always 10 times worth their money. I mean, I love it. So
yeah.
that was
That
good.
guy was great.
So what was your favorite restaurant though? Your Royal Court, you had Animator's Palette. I'm trying to think. I haven't been on the fancy a little bit.
Enchanted Garden.
Chan
Yeah,
Garden. So what was your favorite of those?
yep. For the theming, it's always Animator's Palette. I love everything that's going on in there. The colors. I love the little details on the plates.
Yep.
It's just so cool. The food, everywhere was great. It was all, about the same, like every night, like very high caliber. I enjoyed everything. I'm not a picky eater. Um, I'm kind of a foodie. I like to try different things. So like cruises are, I feel like a really great opportunity for people who like to try things, because if you don't like it, they'll just bring you something else.
That's
And
true.
but I liked everything that I had. All the food I thought was great. Cabanas was great every day. Everything that they offered was, I didn't have any complaints about. And then on the last night, they had the chocolate lava cake, which is like my favorite thing, probably that I've ever eaten. It's
Hmm.
it's just so good.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
100% yes. That is so
yeah,
good. Yes. I could go for that right now and let you say that. That's
yeah.
very good. So what do you guys have? What kind of stateroom do you guys have? That did you enjoy that?
Yeah, so this is the first time I did not have a veranda. Um, we had a room, an ocean view room with one large porthole. Um, and because the weather was just rainy and kind of cold this whole time, I didn't miss the veranda at all.
That's true.
It
With the weather you
yeah,
had, that's probably not a bad idea.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it saved a little bit of money. Um, Having Disney pick the room for you or for me, and um, just having the porthole. And I thought it would feel claustrophobic, but the room is actually a little bigger.
Hmm.
Um, it, like, so I didn't miss it at all. I would definitely book another um, room with the porthole. Um,
I,
that didn't bother me at all.
yeah, those big portholes, they make the room not claustrophobic at all because it's
No.
a large porthole with seating where you
Hmm.
can actually kind
Yep.
of like the
Had a
pads in
seat
it.
in it.
Like the little
Yep.
kids love that. They can take a nap in them practically. Like
Yeah.
Mallory used to
Yeah.
take a
Yeah.
nap in that thing. That's where she took her nap. Actually, it was in the window
Yeah.
back in the day because we got that a couple times. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, so we talked about the Wish earlier. Now that you've been on the Fantasy and the Wish, and you kind of see how the ships flow, because you're on, the Fantasy now for 7 nights, and you're on the Wish for 4. What do you think about the layouts? Do you see what people are saying now? Because like a deck 4 going all the way around and just, but I mean, I'm fine because like I've been on the Treasure now, I've been on the Wish, like they have the same class. I like variety in the ships. I like the fantasy better, I think, because it's kind of my original, the dream. I've been on the dream a bunch of times too. So that's kind of like my default. And I'm very set in my ways and everything in my life. So this is how I am. But I have no problem with the Wish of the Treasure either. But it just feels like the fantasy and the dream flow better to me. But what are your thoughts on that?
I do appreciate the fact that the dream and the fantasy do flow better. Like it's pretty just intuitive to get around on those. There's not really any kind of disjointed parts there. And then like the 3 elevator banks, like forward, middle, aft. I mean, it's simple. Like it makes sense. I guess the reason the Wish didn't, like, the elevator thing didn't bother me at all because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But there are a few spots on the Wish where it's kind of confusing. Like you can't get from floor, like where you play bingo. I can't remember the name of the room there.
Yeah, I can never
Luna.
remember.
It's like Luna,
Yes,
I think.
yes, yeah, up in that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Where you can't get from the top to the bottom there. You have to go down the hall and like down stairs or something. Like I don't know. There's just a few places there on the Wish that kind of like, I don't know, they sort of forgot something, but then couldn't put it back in because
I have a theory that they
Yeah.
came up with that plan during COVID, and they were really worried about keeping like segmented like parts of the ship.
I mean, that makes sense.
This is just my think, and I cannot believe that they would build a ship like it's going to last for 30 years, like for that time period. But it feels like they really thought about like making smaller segmented spaces on the Wish class ships. But I mean, it was developed during COVID, and I feel like that is very evident in that ship, and it doesn't have like a big, because like, all the other ships kind of like an open floor plan, like for a house. And this one is, those are not, but they're fun. Because I mean, like the Wish and the Treasure have that hero zone, which is just killer. I love that multi-purpose area where, you can shoot baskets and go up and play ping pong, and it's all inside. That's so much better. I mean, they have way better. They have, lots of bars spread out around the ship. That's awesome. They have Festival of Foods on the Wish and the Treasure. That's a great idea. Like a little food court. I mean, there's a lot that's different. That's awesome. So, I like the variety of that they're coming out with now in the whole fleet. So I hope they keep doing that. We don't want to have the same ship over and over and over, just different decorations, I think. All right. So as we kind of wrap this up though, any final thoughts on this Norway cruise, any final memories or any tips for folks that might take this cruise here in the future?
I would say that always look at the discount page, I guess, is my bottom line. Just because, like, I don't know, you never know what they have on sale. If you're, watching your budget, it's kind of a good way to still go places, and, you might end up going somewhere you haven't been before. So I would say, yeah, if you have any interest at all in going to somewhere you haven't been, it's always worth it.
All right. Good tips. Yeah. Well, Sarah, thanks for coming on the show and sharing your cruise with us. And can't wait to talk to you about your next cruise. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much, Mike.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Well, don't forget, today's podcast is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney vacation for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air. Thank you so very much for that. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Give me a follow on the social media at BeOurGuestMike on Instagram, Twitter, or Threads. And join us in the clubhouse. That's where all the pictures are from this amazing cruise. It's free for everybody. It's our Discord server. Come on over today. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/clubhouse. And join us this Sunday night for the live call-in show. That's where we turn the show over to you and open up the phone lines. Give us a call. We talk Disney every Sunday night. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. We have a good time, but we need your calls. So join us 5 places: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch. All right, we'll be looking for your calls Sunday night. All right, time to jump out of here, and we'll be back again on Wednesday with your listener questions. Have a question, get it in right now. Send it to mike@beourguestpodcast.com. All right, for Sarah up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.